All right, what's happening, everybody? I'm Allie Burns from Picks and Parlays. It's time for a little more college basketball. This game's going down on Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving to you all, November the 27th. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern start over on CBS, which makes a lot of sense because the name of the tournament that they're playing in, CBS Sports Thanksgiving Classic. They really just packed all the information that you need to know right there. You gotta respect that. Efficiency. We're talking. We're not going with, but we're talking about number 4 Duke taking on number 22 Arkansas. Now, y'all know I look a lot into coaching when I'm handicapping my games, and this coaching matchup is a really unique one. And I think that's literally where I'm getting my whole jam for this pick, okay, is based in the coaching matchups. Duke is a minus 10.5 here. The total's a 157.5. Before we get too much into coaching, let's just touch on their schedule. Duke is a 7-0 team. They just got off of Texas, okay? They just played Texas and won. They were down by a point at the half. But besides that, their only other real competition was a Kansas team who at that time was ranked 24th. And they did beat them. I mean, they beat everybody. They're 7-0. That's spoiler alert. They won all the games. So those are their like two main competitions that they've had, right? Arkansas has played one less game. They're 5-1. Their loss came from Michigan State. And I got to tell you guys, I'm high on Sparty this year. I'm actually doing a free pick on Sparty after this. I mean, I'd still recommend that you watch it, but I'll tell you right now, I'm going to take Sparty, but I'm not going to take him the full game. Stay tuned. So that's kind of my deal, is that strength of schedule wise, Michigan State, I have a whole lot more respect for than I do for Kansas. So that kind of puts Arkansas on my radar, right? You guys can come close to beating Sparty. I want to talk about you. So like I said, this is coming down to a coaching situation for me. Let's start off with Arkansas. This guy really needs no introduction. Anyone who has been a college basketball fan, if you don't know who John Calipari is, you're not a college basketball fan. Just let me let you know about that right now. Okay, so Calipari, it's kind of a fun situation here because John Calipari was coaching at Kentucky when the coach of Duke, John Shire, was playing at Duke. And if there's one thing you should kind of know about Calp, it's that Duke is his bugaboo, all right? Duke and Kentucky played 4 times. Duke won 3 of them. Now, that was all under Coach K, all right? That was Duke versus Kentucky, Coach K versus John Calipari. But in that time, Calipari was with Kentucky. So many games, guys. So many games. From 2009 to 2024. During that time, John Shire from 2006 to 10 played at Duke, right? So 2 years of Calipari's working for Kentucky. Shire was a player there, but 2014 to 2018, Shire was an assistant coach, and 2018 to 2022, he was the associate head coach. Okay. So John Shire has been there, albeit a player or an assistant or a coach, for pretty much the whole time that Calipari was at Kentucky. And like I said, it's the bugaboo, right? He's only beat them once. And even though he's not wearing a Kentucky, little pin on his lapel like the coaches do. His has a Razorback on it now. I don't feel like that passion or that fire dies. This is a competitive dude. John Calipari's a winner. That's what he does. He wins, okay? And so I think this is kind of a spot where he can take something back from a team that has taken so much away from him, right? I've loved John Calipari for a long time. I don't know if you guys remember a guy named Lou Rowe, but he used to play for the UMass Minutemen with a guy named Marcus Camby. They were players underneath John Calipari, and that was had to be like 94, 95, 96. It was like in the beginning of my high school. Not to date myself, but that's just the facts, isn't it? Calipari is just one of those guys. He's been at Memphis. He's been at UMass. He's been at Kentucky. He's been all over the place, and he's bad A. So now we move into John Shire. he took over after Coach K. We all know that. Look, I was never a John Shire girl. Like when he played, he's just kind of vanilla to me. He doesn't have like the spunk that I want out of my privileged Duke basketball players, like I like them to have a little chip on their shoulder, like a Leitner or a Reddick, like come at me, bro. He just never really had that to me. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but he's not my favorite guy in the world. That doesn't really matter though, because I still rep Duke all day, right? All day. But in this situation with the bugaboo going on, I think my play, no, I know my play, but I think 10.5 points is too many points. I think Calp has got his eye on this. I feel like it might have been a little bit circled. And you know that a ranked team goes after a higher ranked team much harder than a higher ranked team goes after a lower ranked team. So that's my play on this. I'm looking at a plus 10.5 on this one, and I'm not looking back. I was even looking kind of like first half, what to do. And I really couldn't come up with anything. First half, Duke averages 45, Arkansas averages 46. Duke gives up 27, Arkansas gives up 33. They both had games. This is kind of funny. We're at the half. When Duke was at the half in Niagara, it was 47-19. And when Jackson State was at the half with Arkansas, it was 47-19. Just those little things that, your statistician brain works out. But to only lose by 3 points to Michigan State, I think is a big deal. I don't think Arkansas is getting enough credit here. And so that's the way that I'm going to roll with this one. If you guys are looking for more of me, I also think, guys, this is a huge in-play. This could be a huge in-play opportunity also. So keep your little eyes open for those situations. If you guys are looking for more than me, find me at Plus Money Honey over on X, and definitely check out Picks and Parlays at Picks Parlays. Give us a like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. I've got tons of free picks coming out. If you haven't seen it already, I did Seton Hall today. I didn't. Shoot, I did St. John's today. I'm just hitting all the big coaches, right? We got Rick Pitino in St. John's. We got John Calipari in Arkansas. Who else did I do? I did someone else. NC State, Texas, Sean Miller. So all those picks are out there for you now. I'm about to do a Thursday night football prop drop. So you guys want to make sure you ring that bell for notifications, and that way you never miss any of the free picks that are going down. I kind of did look at a total, and then I looked away from it. It feels like an under to me. I'm going to be honest, it does, but there's so much kind of involved in it that I just can't play it. If something happens like in the beginning of the game, it starts really slowly, then that 157.5 is going to tick down. If it got down to like maybe a 150 area, I might look at taking it over in the first half, because like sometimes these games start a little slow. We talked about this with one of my last picks, how it's kind of like the dogs at the dog park. When two really good teams get together, sometimes they have to smell each other's butts a little bit first, just to know like what everyone is thinking. It takes them a minute. So those first halves can kind of start a little bit slower. Whereas when a big team plays a littler team, it's just, that little team is just going to try its best to catch up with the big team or to beat that big team. And the big team isn't really afraid of the little team, so they can come out hard. This isn't really that situation. I feel like there's going to be some butt sniffing here. Pardon my French. But yeah, so for all intents and purposes, I'm going with Arkansas plus 10.5. Calipari gets some pride back to the Calipari name when it comes to the Duke Blue Devils. I'm going to be rooting for Duke, baby. Okay? I'm going to be rooting for Duke, baby. But Arkansas plus 10.5 is the play.